welcome back. I have just had a cacao for the first time in a very, very long time, and I love ceremonial cacao. I used to serve it at my moon ceremonies many moons ago, and it's just been a big part of my life for a very long time, but it's been a while since I have had it. I ran out a few months ago and just didn't get around to ordering it, and my gosh, I have missed it. I'm feeling so open and so just grounded and nourished. I love it so much, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I just wanted to mention that because I am feeling very open and ready for this conversation. And in today's episode, I'm focusing on a question that I got asked the other day inside my free Facebook community, the CEO Sisterhood. And that is, where do I start? What aspect of business do I focus on when I'm first starting my cyclical business journey? And that is a very valid question because there's so many different aspects of business, including content creation, the planning, running courses, creating courses, launching programs, all that sort of thing. Like, the list is endless. And when you're first starting out, it can feel very overwhelming. And I am so excited to simplify and hopefully bring you some clarity around where to start and what to focus on when you're beginning syncing your business to your cycle. So if you follow me, if you work with me, if you're a client, you will be familiar with my cyclical business framework, the feminine flow framework. And step one of that framework is clarity and connection. That is where you're going to want to start. Clarity and connection to your cycle. Because if you don't understand your cycle and why it's important and how it impacts your business and what your inner seasons are and what the 4 phases are and what they mean for you and for your life and for your business, then nothing else is relevant, because that is the foundations on which we build all of the other systems, structures, rituals, habits, cyclical business principles, etc. Without first connecting to your cycle and having clarity around your inner seasons, nothing else matters. So that is where I would say start from there. Understand your cycle, understand your inner seasons. Really get clear on why it is you're syncing your business to your cycle. Because if you're not clear on your why, if your intention isn't strong, it's not going to be something that you stick with. You might not be motivated to actually show up in a cyclical way for your business. And that is not going to be the most effective way for you to reap the benefits of cyclical business. So that is step number 1, where you focus on first is actually not even a business process. It's connecting to your cycle. So if you are like, okay, cool, how do I do that? There are a few ways. Firstly is checking out some of my content on Instagram and inside the CEO Sisterhood, all about how to connect to your cycle, reclaiming your relationship with your cycle, rewriting some limiting narratives and stories that we have about our periods and our cycles, and writing more empowering ones. That is what I would recommend. Also, working one-on-one with me. This is some of the biggest and most powerful work that I do with my clients, is healing the wounds and the stories that we have around our cycles. Because when we heal that, magic happens. Like, seriously, that is what unlocks the door for everything to flow in your business, is really reclaiming that part of your cycle. So working one-on-one with me is another way. And if you're interested in that, book a free clarity call. I'd love to connect with you. But if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, my cycle and I are tight, we're great friends, I'm good, now what? Then the second step of the feminine flow framework is ritualize and romanticize. And that is creating your cycle ceremony, tailoring a few daily habits around your cycle, including your morning routine, your evening routine, and creating a cycle ceremony so that you can plan using your cycle seasons, planning out your admin tasks, planning when you're going to do your content creation, planning when you're going to be booking most of your client calls, launching a program. All of the tasks that you have to do in business, you can align with your cycle seasons. But before you can do that, your cycle ceremony is what really helps bring that connection and clarity to your cycle and set the foundations for those systems and structures, which is step number 3. But really, truly, what I would say is after you've focused on connecting to your cycle, is creating the rituals, the routines, the habits around your cycle. If you're living day to day with your evening and morning routines or your daily habits out of alignment with your cycle, your business tasks are not going to magically align with your cycle either. If that feels clunky, I totally get it. You're here to learn about business and cyclical business. You're probably like, why the frick is she telling me to love my cycle and have a morning routine that isn't in alignment with my cycle? I get it. But I promise you that this is what lays the foundations. This is what creates the space for your business to be cyclical, right? And if that is feeling too distant for you, I encourage you to jump in the CEO Sisterhood because we do a lot of work through that. But I want to touch on as well something that is business specific, that if you're like, okay, this isn't what I came here to listen to, you are satiated in your thirst for business knowledge. So what I would focus on specifically in business is planning, using your cycle ceremony, using the connection and clarity you have to your cycle seasons, planning your business cyclically. And by that, I mean throwing out the calendar month, not your calendar. We love our calendars. My calendar is my angel and I would be lost without it. But I mean, no longer planning month to month and planning instead cycle to cycle. So for me, the first of the month means squat. I don't plan on the first of the month anymore. I used to. It was very rigid. It was first of the month or 31st of the month prior. I was getting ready for March or ready for April or whatever. But now I get ready for each cycle. And that begins with my cycle ceremony. That's my intention setting for the month ahead. And the month ahead is my month ahead, not the calendar's month ahead. That is what I would focus on first, is doing away with that system of planning month to month and instead plan cycle to cycle. It is really, really hard to plan using your cycle seasons and harness the superpowers of your inner seasons when you're still trying to fit into that month basis, right? Like, I just found it so clunky and so hard and it didn't flow, and it honestly caused a lot of resistance for me, and it didn't feel right. And the minute that I was like, okay, instead of using the calendar month, I'm going to use my cycle as the months, that's when everything started to flow. That's when cyclical business really clicked for me. Using the connection and clarity to my cycle, using my cycle ceremony to really help me plan out my month, and my month being my next cycle, rather than trying to jam it into the month, because sometimes your cycle starts on the first of the month, sometimes it's going to be the middle of the month, sometimes it's the very end. So that is what I would say, focusing on planning in a way that is in alignment with your cycle and not necessarily conforming to the quarters and the month to month that we are told we should be. Now, if you're wanting to know more about how to do this, I really recommend, again, I keep plugging the CEO Sisterhood, but it's where you want to be, because inside there I do so many free trainings on what cycle season is great for certain tasks and how you can actually do that. And if you're like, what the frick is a cycle ceremony? I do also have a YouTube video that walks you through my ceremony. I actually filmed a whole ceremony that I did, so you get to see it in real time. I also explain why it's important and what it is for and how it helps me in my business. So I would recommend, if you're like, where do I start? Start there. Start with that YouTube video and then come into the CEO Sisterhood and join us for some free trainings. You can watch all the ones that have already been. You can engage in our Q&A threads, and we can go from there and build on your cyclical business journey after having that understanding of what your cycle is and planning in this way. That is what I would recommend, and that is what is going to change your business and your life. So I hope this has brought some clarity. I hope this has made a little bit of sense. I feel like I'm so passionate about this, so I can get on some tangents, but I hope that it has been clear. I hope that it has provided you with a new perspective. And if you have any questions, of course, please DM me or join the question thread in the CEO Sisterhood. I am so excited to be here with you today, and I cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.